Hey, welcome back, Host Nation. This is your short-term rental weekly report. So one of the major OTAs, online travel agencies, HomeAway, recently had a class action lawsuit filed against them when a guest who booked a reservation on this platform for staying in Switzerland ended up staying in a scam listing. Why it was a scam listing was that there was actually no home there. So she paid for the property, she goes there, and there's nothing there. What this class action lawsuit is basically trying to cover is that HomeAway or like these online travel agencies, they aren't properly screening their properties. Now, this wouldn't have been as big of an issue if HomeAway actually did something about it, but allegedly the person, when they went to this property and they tried to get their money back from HomeAway saying that it was a scam, HomeAway didn't do anything. This is something that I feel will be actually really good towards the short-term rental community because there are people that maybe are posting properties or getting onto the platform and are scammers. I'm sure many hosts that have been operating for a while have seen plenty of those people that are soliciting some type of business, or maybe they are listing a property that isn't legit. I'm sure many of us have heard the story of the family that was staying in a short-term rental and then they found out there was a security camera, like a hidden camera watching them. Now that's a really unsettling feeling. So there's actually a article that came out that was giving some tips and tricks on how to spot your hidden camera. Maybe there's a hidden camera in your unit. First thing they suggest is to physically check the room. Do like a sweep. Look for anything that might be suspicious, like maybe teddy bears with some odd shaped eyes or something like that. Next, you're going to want to be very quiet and try to listen for any sounds, any like humming or buzzes or any low frequency hums or clicking noises, something that might indicate some type of machinery or technology working. Another tip would be to turn off the lights and look for any like red or green LEDs, as that's usually an indicator of something either like powered on or recording. If you're a tech savvy person, you could also try using a network mapper called Nmap. So you would just do a scan of the network when you log onto the Wi-Fi. Thing is with this though is that their security devices might be on their primary Wi-Fi. So if they're giving you their home Wi-Fi, then you could do a network scan and see if there's any devices, potentially like a IP address for a security camera. But if you're on the guest network, then you're probably not going to be able to see what types of devices are connected. So it really is kind of dependent on which network you are logging into. Lastly, if you're really concerned, you can also get a RF or a radio frequency signal scanner. This will detect if there's any signals and what type of frequency it is providing. I'm not quite sure how to read a signal scanner, but if you know how to read wavelengths for maybe cameras, then that might be able to help you as well. I'm sure that we've all heard of those stories where there's a security camera or some type of hidden camera in a woman's locker room or something like that. When those people do get found out, they get pretty publicly humiliated, such as the family that was recording these people that were staying in their Airbnb. If you are going to be having any types of cameras in your unit, maybe like in a family room or something like that, you have to identify that in the listing. It actually is one of the Airbnb things. Like if you are going to be having cameras, you have to identify where they are and that they are constantly recording. Do not try to hide you listening or recording to anybody. It's not something that you're legally allowed to do without letting the other person know that this is something that you are doing. Airbnb is trying this new thing where they are taking away the guest service fee and then instead just charging the host a 14%. Now, this is only in effect in Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. I'm a little indifferent about the service fee just because it's really just going to have to come down to the host having to charge more per night. It's going to be good for guests because they will not have like any surprise fees towards the end when they are getting to check out. Nobody likes getting to the end of something and then finding out that they have to pay extra money. On the flip side though, hosts are going to have to increase their nightly prices, which might deter people from staying at your unit. A lot of this is just kind of psychology, how people maybe react to it. So if people are going through the process and then seeing at the end that they are having to be charged an additional 20%, they might just click away because it's like, this is not what I expected. But if the nightly price and all of your fees are upfront and then they just stick with that price, guests might be a little bit more okay with having to pay maybe a higher price as long as there's not like an additional fee. A recent survey came out where 1,000 people were polled about their concerns with short-term rentals. This poll covered things such as how safe you would feel if your neighbor was short-term renting, how it would affect the value of the property in the area, and what's your overall experience with short-term rentals. It's pretty interesting is that the how safe you would feel and how it would affect the property value was pretty split, about 50-50. And I feel a lot of this is based off of age, because in the poll they said that 78% of baby boomers and Gen Xers said that they would not list their property, while around 64% of millennials said that they would list their property on Airbnb. What's kind of funny though is that over half the people that did take the survey didn't even know if there was anybody short-term renting in their neighborhood. And of the people that did know, only 17.3% said that they had a bad experience. A lot of the concern comes down to familiarity though. So people that just don't know about Airbnb or short-term rentals and they don't know who their neighbors are generally more opposed to people short-term renting in their neighborhood. People that have stronger relationships with their neighbors are generally more accepting of their short-term rental activities. Now, I do have to say generally, because this is not always the case. You're always going to have those bad apples that just really have something against you. But what's really interesting about this survey is that just a lot of this fear is just coming from unfamiliarity. In 2018, there's actually been a 60% increase in demand for luxury vacation rentals. And with that, Airbnb released this new platform called Airbnb Luxe, which is catered towards the luxury vacation rental market. And we've just been seeing some crazy new properties and some crazy new listings coming. You can actually rent a private island through Airbnb in the French Polynesians for $1 million a week. Now, you don't need to have a private island to be part of Airbnb Luxe, but it is one of the higher end tier listings. With Airbnb Luxe, you get a lot more catering and a lot more specialization for your type of unit. You get like a trip designer and stuff like that. I have another video where I'm going to be talking more about Airbnb Luxe and breaking it down and how you can actually implement some of the practices from Airbnb Luxe into your Airbnb listing. But I hope you guys like this short-term rental weekly report. If you like this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up and consider subscribing if you haven't already. If you like these videos and you want to know more about short-term rental investing, then check out these videos on the side here. Until next time, Host Nation, keep on hosting.